Hey guys, what's on going? Justin here, and we're Pokemonin'. Today I want to share with you guys some of my personal Pokemon card collection, but there's a trick. I'm going to go over the entire Kanto Pokédex, the original 151 Pokemon, but each dex entry is going to be my very favorite card that I own in my collection. It's not necessarily going to be like the original base set, every single card as it first released. It's just going to be a card that either holds some kind of special memory to me or is really cool artwork. For whatever reason, it is my favorite card that I own of that Pokemon. And these cards can be anywhere from, in my collection for 20 years. They might be in my collection for only a year now, but they are special to me. They're really cool, and I want to share them with you guys. Let's flip you around.
So, as I'm sure you guys are all aware, today is the official release of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet 151. It's going to be an incredible set, and I'm honestly curious to see if any of the cards printed in this set will become favorites of mine and replace some of the entries that I've made in my Pokédex thus far. I really don't know if there will be any replacements in my Pokédex, just because I won't have the same sort of nostalgia factor that these cards are going to give me. But, maybe cards like the Zapdos illustration rare could potentially take over the Pokédex entry for the card that I currently have as my Zapdos, because I'll be honest, I didn't really grow up with one. It's probably going to be the Celebrations Team Rocket Zapdos. Anyway, starting with Pokédex entry 0001, because yes, we have breached that 1,000 Pokemon mark with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. That's just absolutely insane to me, that we started off with 151, and now we have over 1,000. It's so many Pokemon, guys. Anyway, this is the Bulbasaur from Fire Red and Leaf Green. It is the reverse holo version drawn by Atsuko Nishida, who is my very favorite Pokemon artist in the TCG. I don't know exactly what set they started on back in the day, but Fire Red and Leaf Green was definitely one of the earlier sets. I know they were part of like Team Rocket and some of the Gen 1 sets as well, but this Bulbasaur in particular, just reaching up for an apple. The shading, it's such a soft card with, beautiful shading and lighting, and it's been one of my favorite art pieces since I was a kid. Moving on to Pokédex entry 002, we have the Ivysaur from Southern Islands. Now, this is actually a card that I did not have in my childhood collection. This is one that I got as part of a deal I made with my cousin. We actually bought out one of our mutual friends' old Pokemon card collections, and as part of the deal, we sat down and pretty much drafted to see who would get which cards. I say drafted, but it was pretty mutually agreed upon. I want these cards, he wants these cards. Of course, I took a lot of the vintage pulls, so like the Southern Islands Ivysaur. Just a very cool card that I'd never actually have seen in person until earlier this year, so I'm very happy to add it to my collection and add it to my Pokédex. Next, we have our first fully evolved Pokemon, which is Venusaur, the final evolution of the Bulbasaur line. This is the Black Star promo that looks like it was printed in the year 2000, a very early Venusaur, not base set. You actually won't see a ton of base set cards on my favorites list in this Pokédex. I guess I was a little later than base set. I kind of grew up with, Delta species Pokemon in that Gen 3 block, a lot of the Neo cards through Aquapolis and Skyridge. Those e-reader cards were some of my favorites, but this was the Venusaur that we had growing up, and this is the one that I feel best represents my Pokédex. Breaking into the Charmander line, we have the Charmander from Team Rocket. This is such a cool card, such a very minimalistic art style. You can tell there's no real outlines on the card. It's just a nice splotch of red and yellow color making Charmander. He's breathing fire, and it's just a very cool card. This is probably the favorite Charmander I own, although I'll be honest with you, the promo from the Elite Trainer box for Obsidian Flames is pretty darn cute, but I actually haven't opened one of those ETBs yet, so I don't have it in my collection. I can't add that to the Pokédex. So here we are with the Team Rocket Charmander instead. I was just talking about not having very many base set cards in my Pokédex. However, here is base set Charmeleon. Charmeleon was actually my favorite Pokemon from the starters in Gen 1. You know, not Venusaur, not Charizard, specifically Charmeleon was my favorite. And this card is a big reason for that. I don't know why, I liked the colors, I liked how fierce he looked, the way he's kind of slashing across the card. So this base set Charmeleon is an easy addition to my Pokédex. Now I'll admit, this one is really hard because there are so many awesome Charizards printed in the TCG, and I mean illustration rares and alt arts and just everything, but this is my Charizard that I grew up with. Yes, I graded it at PSA. Yes, it got a PSA 2, a good condition Charizard. I just really wanted it in a slab to preserve it because, again, it was my childhood Charizard, you know? It's not in that bad a condition, but it does have a little bit of a dent. I don't know if you can quite see it up here. Oh, where is it even? See, it's so small. Oh, here it is, up by the wing. You can kind of see that up by the tip of his wing there, below the HP. Couple of little dents, which is what brought the grade down, but honestly, I don't care about the grade. This is just my Charizard, you know, unlimited. It's nothing special, it's just my Charizard. Moving on to the water starters, we have Squirtle from Team Aqua and Team Magma. I just love the color palette on this card. The art is fantastic. He's got the cherry blossoms behind him. I mean, what's not to love about this little Squirtle? Moving on to another card that I got more recently into my collection, also the first Japanese card I'll be introducing you guys to. It is the Japanese Pokemon Go Wartortle. Now, I'll be honest, there's nothing super special about this card. You know, as a general, like the illustration is fine, you know, the card itself, the set, they're fine. But specifically this card is the first card I ever pulled out of a vending machine. Yes, a vending machine. I wasn't in Japan for this one. It was just, I was visiting a cousin and we were going around to some different card stores, and one of them happened to have a little, you know, 50-cent vending machine to get a random Pokemon card. And this is the one that I pulled, and, you know, just for the memory, just for the story, it is going into my 151 Pokédex. Another very recent card, yeah, I guess Wartortle and Blastoise are both, you know, within the past year and a half, because this Dark Blastoise, Reverse Holo from the Legendary Collection, is one that I picked up, you know, again, not as part of the deal that I was talking about drafting for that Southern Islands Ivysaur. It was the same weekend, but I actually bought the collection from a different friend, and this was pretty much the big sell. I actually looked at his collection about a year ago and picked out all the cards, the commons and uncommons that I didn't have, and bought those from him, but I didn't pull the trigger on the Dark Blastoise. Yes, it's creased and damaged and looks like it needs to be, you know, taken out back, but it is a copy of Dark Blastoise. I absolutely love the Legendary Collection Reverse Holos, and I'm very happy to add this card to my collection. Coming in at number 10, we have the Caterpie from the Neo Genesis equivalent for Japanese. I don't actually know what the Japanese sets are called. Usually, I know some of the modern ones, but as far as the old ones go, I just call them by their English counterparts. Anyway, look at this little guy. I mean, he's just so gosh darn cute. Look at him just staring into the camera. Isn't he just a beautiful little boy? One of my favorite cards. I almost put the English card into my decks, but then I remembered that we had a Japanese copy of it from way back when we were kids. And I don't know how Misty can be afraid of bug-type Pokemon when some of them are just so gosh darn cute. I guess he's not quite as cute when he evolves, but coming in for the Metapod entry in my Pokédex is first edition Shadowless Metapod from base set. This is one of the only first edition Shadowless cards I have. For some reason, all the ones that we had in our binders and from garage sales when we were growing up were a lot of unlimited cards. I don't know if that's because we lived in the Midwest and all the first editions and Shadowless prints were like, you know, opened on the coast. They never actually shipped all the way into the center of the country. I don't know. That's probably just me making excuses for why I feel bad not having many of them. Anyway, this is my Metapod. He's just, I don't even know if he's fierce. He's just there. He is some sort of emotion, and he is Dex entry number 11. At Dex entry 12, we have Butterfree from Expedition. This is the holo variant, if you can get a little bit of sparkle in there. I was actually going to use the reverse holo variant, which is the copy that I had growing up. However, as part of that draft I did just the other weekend, which I might make a video about, showing you all the awesome vintage cards I added to my collection. I might make a video on that later. I probably will. This is Butterfree, and this looks much better than the Butterfree I had. I think the one I had was, I don't know if it was holo or reverse holo, but it was just creased and peeling, and there was just, you know, it was an old soul. So I picked up this new copy, shiny little Butterfree, to add to the Pokédex, just for you guys. Here he is. For number 13, we have Weedle from Delta Species. Once again, this is one of the cards that I picked purely for the art. If you can tell the similar style with the lighting and the shading and the soft colors, it is another Atsuko Nishida card, and it's lovely. I just love how soft and how, I don't know, there's just something dreamy about their artwork, and you'll definitely see a trend in my Pokédex that there will be a few art variants of Nishidas in my Pokédex. And everyone knows when Weedle evolves, he becomes Kakuna, but he also becomes super extra shiny, and he becomes legendary, because this is the reverse holo from the Legendary Collection. This is one of the craziest cards we ever owned as kids. I mean, we didn't know what it was. We knew nothing about different sets. I mean, we kinda knew. We knew like base set was a thing. We always thought the 2 for base set 2 meant second edition, you know, like first edition, second edition, which was way off. But we had no idea what Legendary Collection was. We didn't really know what this reverse holo pattern meant. We just thought it was a super rare card. And I mean, it is, but at the time, no, it really wasn't. It was just another Kakuna. However, this one is special to me, and it belongs in my Pokédex. Alright, I'm bringing in another slab for this one. For our Beedrill entry, we have the alternate art from Astral Radiance. I didn't actually pull this card, admittedly. I have never pulled an alternate art from Astral Radiance. However, I purchased this card in the secondary market. You know, I was patient. I got it for a pretty good deal. I didn't buy it right on release, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it's just beautiful art. I mean, look at it. Look at all the Beedrills. Look at the flowers. It just screams Legends Arceus. You know, Astral Radiance was a set that came out right as Legends Arceus. The video game was popular, and it looked so beautiful. I really wanted it. It was between this and the Origin Form Palkia alt art that were my chase cards. I know everyone liked the Machamp, everyone liked the Starmie Trainer Gallery, but for me it was Beedrill, and he is added to my Pokédex. Number 16, this might be one of the newest cards that is in my 151 Pokédex. We have, from Obsidian Flames, the character rare, or art rare, Pidgey, with a little Route 1, because it's just such a funny joke of a card where every patch of grass just has Pidgeys lurking and Pidgeys jumping out at you. But it also really reminds me of Duck Hunt, if you guys have ever played that. I don't know, I just thought it was a really silly card. I really like it a lot. I am going to mention that all of the cards in this Pokédex are pre-Scarlet Violet 151. I might update the Pokédex later, but everything in this dex right now are going to be pre-151. I misplaced my Pidgeotto. Oh no. Alright, let's go find him. Alright, we almost lost dex entry number 17, but I found him. I found my Pidgeotto from the Expedition set. It is actually reverse holo. Look at that shine. Absolutely gorgeous looking card. The artist is actually Komiya, who you may recognize the art style from some of the modern cards, like the Psyduck Scream promo, the Galarian Slowking alt art. But my personal favorite of theirs is the Drampa from Evolving Skies. Yes, that's sarcastic because I pulled so many Drampas, just a non-holo rare from the best set in the Sword Shield block. We don't talk about it. Anyway, this Pidgeotto is adorable. I mean, the art style is so catching, it's just so unique, and it deserves a spot in my Pokédex. One of my very favorite cards that's making its way into my Pokédex here is this Delta Species Pidgeot. He is part Steel and Electric type, and when I was a kid, I was so in love with Delta Species. I still am, but it's like, you just take this Pokemon, he used to be a boring, normal type, or flying type, or whatever you want to call it, and all of a sudden, boom, it's sparkly, flashy, it's different colors, and this is just a really beautiful card. This comes from, I think, Hoenn Phantom set. This looks like... This could be the reverse holo. It's honestly hard for me to tell reverse holo versus holo for Hoenn Phantoms. I'm guessing... You know, I'm not even going to try to say it because I'm going to be wrong. You guys can let me know in the comments if I am wrong. But either way, he is part of the Pokédex. A beautiful card. Next up is Rattata from Team Rocket. This is, again, one of the older cards. Not quite base set, but one of the older sets that makes my list. This is, once again, Atsuko Nishida. Surprise, surprise. Look how adorable and just soft colors. I mean, it's just almost shiny. It just looks so nice. And just one of the cutest rats out there. Speaking of cute rats, look at this little guy. No, not quite? Okay. Well, I loved this card for so many reasons when I was a kid. Mainly because his attack, Super Fang. We did not play the trading card game properly. We made up our own rules. We just kind of used attacks, didn't care about energies, all that good stuff. But Super Fang, obviously, just like in the games, it does half damage to defending Pokemon's remaining HP. So if you're facing up against that 90 HP Onix, which as kids, that 90 HP Onix was just so broken because, again, we did not play the game properly. We didn't really follow the rules. But if you could bring it down to 50 or 40 HP in one attack, that was pretty darn good. Good for you, Raticate. Here's our first Gym Leaders Pokemon. We have Lieutenant Surge's Spearow from Gym Heroes. Not trying to rhyme, I promise. This is just, of the Spearow cards printed, I'll be honest, it's just one of my more favorite. You know, it holds a little more sentimental value to me. I do absolutely love Gym Heroes and Gym Challenge and also the Japanese Versus set. There aren't that many Spearow cards in print, and this is, you know, one of the original ones that just held the most intrinsic memory to me, or intrinsically valuable memory, and for that reason, he makes the dex. Finally, we got another one with a story to tell. This is the Fearow from Fire Red and Leaf Green. I obtained this card when I was probably 7 or 8 years old on the school bus. On the way to school, I traded with one of my brother's friends, my older brother. We rode the same school bus as this kid, and I don't know what I had to bring him, but I remember scouting it out. He brought his cards one day, we were looking through them, I'm like, I need this Fearow. It's so cool looking. You know, it's got Drill Peck, it's got free flight ability. I don't even know. Something about it just popped. And the next day I brought a whole stack of cards, and I think I probably gave him 3 or 4 just common Pokemon to get this one Fearow, but it is well worth it, and he is in my 151 Pokédex. Coming in at Dex entry number 23 from Team Rocket Returns. Can you guess who it is? It's Ekans, drawn by Atsuko Nishida. What a beautiful card. It's going to be the same copy-paste thing every single time. The beautiful artwork. If you put this side by side with the Bulbasaur that we put at Dex entry number 1, just boom, boom. The art is just phenomenal. It's breathtaking to me. Even when I look back at it right now, just flipping through old cards, I'll stop and I'll say, I know who drew that. And for that reason, Ekans makes the spot. And as he evolves, he becomes one of my other personal favorites. He becomes a Delta species. Not drawn by Nishida, However, a Fire-type Arbok, how cool is that? My brother actually had the deck that had a bunch of Fire-type Ekans, and I think it had 1 or 2 Arboks in the deck, and I just thought it was super cool. I mean, Fire-type is one of the best types. As a kid, you know, it's fire. It's what Charizard is. Moltres was my favorite legendary bird, and to see an Arbok that could be used in the same decks and the same playstyle, oh, beautiful card, well deserving of the spot. And last but not least for today's video, because I know this is going to be a long list, I'll try to go a little bit faster in the future ones. I just kind of wanted to talk a little more in this first video so you guys can kind of get to know me as a collector and get to, you know, kind of feel out what cards I like and what kind of attributes I look for when I'm collecting Pokemon cards. Can you guys guess? Anybody want to try guessing which Pikachu I chose for my Pokédex? I literally wrote a note that, you know, this Pikachu, ... so many others, with like 5 exclamation points, because there's just so many good Pikachus. I don't even have most of the great Pikachus. I just have a lot of classic Pikachus, and they're all good. However, I didn't choose a classic one for my Pokédex. I've got another graded slab, PSA 9, because I don't own a lot of PSA 10s, except for, well, we'll get into that later. We'll get into it later. It's the Lost Origin Pikachu V. I think you guys probably thought I would say the V Max, but no, this one, with Red reading the map, looks like he's about to go on an adventure. It was one of the first cards in the modern era that made me go, I need this. When I saw it in Japanese and I wasn't sure if it was coming out in the English side of the card game, I was like, yo, I need to have this card. This card is champin'. No, it's just, it does. It looks like they're ready to set out on an adventure, and Pikachu looks so happy and cute, and Red is just so mysterious back there with the map, the colors, the background. It's all just, it's intriguing to me. I can never get bored of looking at it. It's one that I'd be happy to display. I'm always happy to share it with others. Say, hey, you want to see a cool Pikachu? Here it is. Dex entry number 0025. Pikachu V, Trainer Gallery from Lost Origin. And we're going to pause the video there, guys. This is only 25 out of the 151 Pokemon that I want to go through with this Pokédex series. Obviously, there's probably going to be 5 more videos after this then. But I really do want to look at each card personally. You know, I don't want to just flip through a slideshow of 151 cards, because that, you know, that'd just be mind-numbing. I like to sit down and talk about my collection. I'm a very personal collector. I don't like just buying the best cards and the cards that everyone else is chasing. I like hunting certain cards. You know, I think my tastes are different than everybody else's. I hope everybody listening to this or watching this has their own unique taste, and they're actually following, you know, their passions. You know, whatever you're passionate about in the hobby, chase it. Because you don't have to be the best Pokemon collector in the world, but you could be, you know, the #1 Atsuku Nishida Generation 3 Pokemon card collector. You know, I had that Bulbasaur from Fire Red Leaf Green, I had that Ekans. I mean, I'm not saying I'm the best collector by any means. That's just an example. Maybe someone watching this is. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I will definitely be opening up some Scarlet and Violet 151 in the very near future. If I pull any amazing illustration rares, we'll see if those end up taking the spots of these current Pokemon in my Pokédex. I don't know if they will, but hey, if it's something I pull on video and it's just a very exciting moment, who knows? Maybe they will someday. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Everyone take care out there. Keep champing, and we'll see ya in the next one.